And on.
All righty. Everybody ready? All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Morning, everybody. All righty. So we'll call the meeting to order. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest or anything on the agenda that they would like to address? Otherwise, we will consider the agenda approved. Madam Auditor, will you read the minutes of the previous meeting, please? Thank you.
August 20th, 2024, the Board of Supervisors met at 9 a.m. with Gene Hayden, Chair presiding, members present were Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Mulbauer, and Rosberg. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. The board approved the clerk of court fees for July 2024. Board approved hiring Adrian Chesney, appraiser, assessor's office. Board approved hiring Paley Hansen, family support specialist, public health. The board had a discussion with Holmes Murphy and IGHCP via Zoom regarding transition of the county insurance plan. At 10:20 a.m., a motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Mulbauer, to open the public hearing for the Crawford County Board of Supervisors in the city of Manila. Intend to exchange property owned by the respective parties lying within the city of Manila, Crawford County lots 9 and 10, block 21, city of Manila. The city of Manila property lots 5 and 6, block 21, city of Manila. Motion passed unanimously. There were no written or oral objections at 10:22. Motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Dozark, to close the hearing. The motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Rosberg, to approve the resolution 2024-30, resolution regarding real estate property exchange with Manila. Voting aye, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Mulbauer, and Rosberg. Motion passed unanimously. The board had a discussion with opioid funding for the Manning Regional Healthcare Center with Taya Vanami, Director of the Recovery Center. No action was taken at this time. Motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Dozark, to approve to abate 3 mobile home and remove from tax rolls located in the old trailer park in Dow City. Motion was passed unanimously. The board had a discussion for naming the county building at 115 North 14th Street, formerly the city center. No action was taken at this time. On motion duly seconded, the board adjourned at 11:34 a.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available to courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting.
All right, any corrections or additions from anyone on the minutes?
No.
Right, they'll stand as approved also then. So I know everybody has a lot to talk about this morning with what, with ISAC, and Ty has some updates. So I suggest we maybe talk a little bit about what we learned at ISAC and some of our take homes from it. We were just talking about Shelby County getting an award for being outstanding initiatives with the ISAC, combining their police department and their sheriff department. They say it's working out phenomenal. It's saving the city of Harlan money, saving Shelby County, and they got an award for their outstanding achievement in getting that done. So my takeaway from that is maybe it's time again, because the state feels that we are paying our sheriff to take care of 17,500 people, when in fact, the city of Denison pays their chief of police to take care of 9,500 of those people. And by combining that, you're combining your resources and you're taking care of the same people. I think maybe it's the time to try to get a task force, get together with our new incoming sheriff. It's a good time. Typically, Mayor Denison, a couple of us, and just get the temperature for how it works. Maybe invite the Shelby County Sheriff to come up, and Steve Kinkle, I talked to him afterwards, and he said it's just been amazing how well. But he did say in the beginning there, were people that were really objecting to it. And one of their concerns is the people that would possibly lose their jobs, and, really there's enough work for everybody. They just have to work
Well, they
together.
had to increase the size of the sheriff's department, so a lot of them local officers
Right.
probably had an option.
Right, right. I think they went through a job interview process
Yeah,
again,
sure.
you know, to make sure and every time there's a change, there's a little growing pain to it.
Sure.
But they've got those worked out, and I think to get an award from ISAC as an outstanding initiative, I thought that was pretty awesome, and I think it's worth looking at. I think it would help both of our budgets, by combining, you know, instead of everybody having their own, cars and insurance, and, they're all working out of the same building. They're all working for the same cause, the safety of our community, so just something worth looking at, I think.
It'd be interesting, I guess, that ISAC, the Iowa State Association of Counties, gave the award to Shelby County. It'd be interesting to hear the take of the mayor of the city of Harlan and the city council of the city of Harlan to talk to them, because from what I understand, just from talking to people, is that seems to be the biggest fear, is that when you're in the position of a police chief,
Right.
hey, you report to the mayor, you report to the city
Absolutely.
council, and we can direct you, we want you to focus on this, we want you to
Correct.
focus on this. Where the sheriff is an elected official, and you don't have that, hey, we want you to do this, well, I don't want to,
That's
I'm
right,
not going to,
that's right,
because I'm elected, and this is
That's
what I think the citizens of my county want me to do,
that's right.
not what you want me to do.
You are
So
exactly right.
that's why I guess it would be interesting to hear when if we have not just the county sheriff,
Excellent point.
but to talk to the mayor and the city council of Harlan to see what
Yeah.
they think
There has
about.
to be buy-in
How it
from all
has-
entities. Yeah. There has to be buy-in. There has to be buy-in,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's kind of where we start though. We
Right,
get-
I agree, I think,
You know?
right,
I think we just get the conversation out there and, you know, the sheriff really is the one that has to have the biggest buy-in. Because they're the one that will be making some big changes and, the rest of it, you know, I don't know, it's worth looking at. That was one of the takeaways that I had. I also attended a meeting.
but like, I think when I came home, like I said, Sunday night at 9 o'clock, driving up 20th Street, and I saw a police car, and there was a police car and a sheriff there together
Sounds like a drug bust.
at a location on 20th Street. So they do work together.
They do, they should,
Right.
rightfully so, so, just might have needed some backup, and that could have been the first car up, you know, and we don't really.
On a Sunday
I
night, I
think I've
guess
heard
there
them
was
talk
just
about
one.
where the Dennison
Yeah,
works
maybe.
together with the sheriff's
Probably
office
short
on
form.
that type of
Exactly.
thing,
Yeah,
narcotic stuff and whatever. I think I've heard them talk about.
I think it's
I
worth
mean, not
looking
detailed.
into it a little bit.
Their
just
operation.
To see
That's
if
what they
there's
do.
any flavor for it at all. And,
Right.
you know, with us getting a new sheriff, this would be a time to possibly, you know, and he'd be the first place to start. If it does not work, if nobody can tell anybody what they have to do, it has to be total buy-in, it's my understanding. But I'd be willing to have those conversations, because I've heard this a bit.
I don't remember, did Steve Tingle say what brought him to the point, and was it truly finances? Where they said this is unsustainable, we need to, did the city initiate that conversation?
I'm not sure about that either, but I do think that it came down to a little bit of being able to find qualified people to come work and, you know, get them through the academy and keep them, and, you know, just some dynamics that were going on at that time. And the timing was just right. And obviously it's working because I don't know how this award all worked for sure, but I know Steve Tinkle thinks it's fabulous, and I don't know anybody personally on the council, but I say we start the conversation, because I'll be glad to spearhead it if you guys want me to, because I think it's worth just figuring out if it's something that Crawford County could benefit from. And I
would
also,
love you to spearhead that, Gene.
yeah, well, you know, maybe just talk to Roger.
I second that.
Never turn down a good volunteer, is that what you're saying, Greg?
I'll try to get the temperature of it.
Okay,
Well, and if it doesn't go anywhere, you know,
Yeah, at least it's one of the reasons I go to ISAC is to try to pick up ideas of what other counties are doing. And I think if any time you can save money for your county seat, and manage your county and have your citizens get maybe even a better coverage, because it's just, there's no definition of where this line is, that I'll take care of this and I'll take care of that. You know, I don't even really know the whole dynamics of it, but I'm willing to try to dive into it and see how it could work for our county.
You know, and I've listened to a couple mayors' complaints about things like narcotics are
Uh-huh,
an
I have
issue
to.
in our county. And maybe if you've got a combined force.
Right.
That's easier, because a lot of times that ends up being a state or even a federal investigation, because sometimes it could be bigger. So maybe it makes it easier to work inside of our county, taking care of these problems.
Territorial.
Yeah, I mean, you get one less, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm sure Chief Trejo is trying to do his darndest to clean up our community here in Denison.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you never know what the feds are doing, and maybe if you can build a better relationship. I'm just throwing some ideas out there too. I don't know, I mean, I sure don't want to discount the skills or abilities of either our sheriffs or our city chiefs, but
I think until we walk a mile in somebody's shoes, we really don't know what they do. And, but the only way we find out is by asking
Well,
questions and by, just seeing, so I'll get a hold of.
just some of the things that I've heard, it makes it a little more complicated.
Conversation, and he may be absolutely not gonna have any part of it.
Not necessarily in our county, but others.
The other part, and Dave, who was the gentleman, what county was he, one of the smaller ones that talked about certifying a negative budget? What county was he?
Oh, Dale House from Van Buren.
And we're, okay,
Yeah, they are.
yeah. When you see a grown adult man get choked up about what's going on in their county because they're gonna have to, they want to see if they could, certify a negative budget. And he wanted to make sure that he was gonna be the first county in Iowa that went bankrupt. Isn't that comment?
They're looking at selling their county farm, like 300 acres,
think about that.
just to make payroll.
That's,
Oh, my God.
yeah. Yeah, and
I don't know all the dynamics.
I don't either,
On
but-
there, but I mean,
when you're willing to stand up in a group of your peers and share that, it tells you that you gotta pay attention to, and not, remember they telling us that you could hit a wall in 2025 if you don't, and Jason Schultz's answer was you gotta learn how to budget. Remember that conversation? So
Easy to sit up there and say that, isn't it?
I took that to heart though, because
There's 99 budgets he's talking about.
yeah, and he did, and I don't know, we could maybe call and try to figure out, we did walk home with him one night, but, just what happened, but he stood up and he was choked up.
I just think, they're one of
Don't
the
have to
southern
think about
tier
it for me.
counties that doesn't have any growth. There's not a lot of valuations there. There's not a lot of businesses or manufacturing.
That's right.
And what about the counties that have, I mean, I went to run a birds thing down there in Dallas, down there by Dallas, at the fairgrounds, and I was driving through the county and looking at all the growth, trying to keep up with that, and that actually got brought up. I was talking to some elected officials from there. We were talking about the growth there and trying to keep up with building roads and infrastructure, water, all the stuff, because a lot of that's getting built out in the county. So that's in county budget.
Yeah,
And how do you deal with all that? I mean, it's easy to sit there in Des Moines and sit high and mighty talking about, well, they gotta learn to budget, but they don't see these 99 different budgets. I mean, from counties that have no growth and probably are declining, and people that can't afford to pay taxes.
correct.
To people that can't afford to pay taxes because there's too many to pay.
And just think if you're a small county and you're an elderly population, and now you're having your homestead 65 starting to hit you in the pocketbook. And when you had the state tell you that you have to pay your sheriff, and
Yeah.
those things
Mandate.
hit everybody kind of hard, because that was not just about the sheriff. It was about deputies and other county elected officials who say, well, that's not fair that he gets this, and so everybody was trying to, and if you're a small county with no hope and you're mandated, you have to do it, there goes the money, and you can't pull it back in once it's all out the door. You can't make more money. Well,
I got into that discussion about with a old hospital executive here just this last week. We were talking about budgets for hospitals and schools and counties and city governments. And I said, well, you were in charge of a hospital. What was your pay? 65%.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure all of us are in that kind of a predicament where the lion's share of our budget is payroll and and the benefits that go along with that. and all
Insurance.
that. So I mean, when you stop and think about that, I mean, some of these counties, you look at we've seen on our spreadsheets, you guys will give us when we're doing budgets, but some of these other counties are paying. How are they even getting any of the real bills paid that gotta be done for infrastructure or?
Which kind of makes you wonder then, long term, does the state ever put together an initiative that states that if your county population ever falls below whatever the number is, 5,000 people, that it automatically goes to the voters to see whether they want to keep all that infrastructure? Do we need a county auditor, a county board of supervisors, or do we merge with other counties in the area and not have a courthouse in this county? We're gonna share with other
Do
people.
like what they did up
You
in
know,
Calhoun and.
Let the
merge with
voters of
Bancroft.
that county decide, but if they want to keep paying that, or do they
That's an
say, hey, it's
excellent
not
point.
that important? We're
That's
gonna,
an excellent
we're gonna merge with
There
other
is a way to
counties.
merge
What's that?
positions. There's a way to merge positions.
Okay.
While keeping their county separate, or is it?
Yeah, because some auditors are also recorders.
Oh,
There's,
That's one. I mean,
I
that's
get
only
it.
one example. That's not, I'm
but
not
that's
saying.
merging positions, but I mean, even
Right.
merging counties, you know, like. I know that Bancroft County, that's why we have 99 instead of 100, it got merged with Calhoun. Years ago.
those are just the, you know,
There's
tip of the
things, yeah,
iceberg of
interesting.
things that we kind of pick up in these conversations. And I said, you know, I really think that it's beneficial to hear these other counties, what they go through a little bit. Public health, you know, came up that there's 99 public health boards in Iowa. Thinking about not having 99 public health boards because you want to be able to get those same services from county to county. And we had a conversation yesterday that was on our agenda to talk about Advantage Care or when you have your social security, you can go with your regular Medicare, or you can go with the Advantage and the Advantage Plus. And a lot of institutions aren't taking the Advantage because if a procedure costs, I know this use round numbers, $300, Advantage says they're only gonna pay 100 of it. And there's nothing you can do about it. So as public health, as people are finding out that not everybody will take this insurance, does public health have to take them and, you know, pay the difference? And I was very vocal that, you know, because I have been pressured very strongly to take Advantage Plus because you don't have any monthly payment. And I don't think the taxpayers of Crawford County owe somebody to supplement their medical care because they made the wrong decision and what kind of insurance they took. You know, that's not what public health is about, that we, you know, and I said, well, you can own 3 farms and have decided they didn't want a monthly payment for your Medicare, so you went with Advantage, and then you find out it doesn't cover things, and somebody says, oh, public health has to take care of you. So we don't say that we can't go back and put a collection against their, we can't ask how much money they make. It's gotta be fair for all, either we take it or we don't. So we're exploring how we're gonna handle that because, you know, our nurses, you know, once again, have people teary-eyed over, I can't turn people away that need our help. So you've got somebody that is living off $900 a month social security, and they thought that was great. They wouldn't have to pay for their supplement, and they have something happen and they go to public health. They said, we don't take that plan. That's not the right answer either, but you can't say, well, I know you have money you have to pay. It's either all or nothing, you know? And so we're working on that also, kind of how to, because they want everybody on that Advantage plan.
And you know what?
Nobody in rural America.
Everybody you talk
should
to
purchase a
healthcare
Medicare Advantage plan.
Exactly.
Period.
And the problem
Right.
is,
I haven't heard anybody say get Advantage.
I had a friend of mine that held a little luncheon at their house and had the insurance person come, and they were pushing so hard to take it. But I just had to find out that if you do have something major, you can't go back to your regular Medicare. And so there you are. And, you know, you have to pass a test to get back on it. That's, you know, I thought, I'd rather just stay steady and not have, yeah.
Suck you into
Is
a.
getting in a nursing home then?
What's that?
Getting in a nursing home, having the Advantage plan becomes quite
quite.
the feat, from what I've
I've
heard.
heard the
Oh, really?
same thing,
Yes.
yes.
So it's
But-
worse yet then?
Yes,
But they're pushing it so hard. They
Well,
are-
it's on TV. The problem is it's just, it's on TV. They
That's
push
right.
the Medicare Advantage, you call the number, even though they are supposedly supposed to take your zip code to see if it's gonna work for you or it doesn't. All they wanna do is sign you up, sign you up, sign you up. I mean, I had a client of mine that was on typical Medicare supplement, called in, went on the Medicare Advantage, was living here in real life, and all of a sudden, nothing was covered for her. And so to get her back onto Medicare and Medicare supplement was a chore.
Right,
A
right.
huge chore.
Correct.
I had spent that much time trying to do some, accomplish something
Correct.
that I thought would be simple,
No,
but
no,
it was not. But we did, we accomplished it, we got it done.
but
But
they don't.
I
have
just
to
wish
like
that, I mean, I tell everybody, if you live in rural America, do not purchase a
Yeah.
Medicare Advantage plan.
They really
period.
call Medicare disadvantage.
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
So,
Yeah, they
Is it
misnamed
just due to the lack of different
It's the
medical?
lack of coverage. I mean, if you lived in a huge population center, if you're from New York, Chicago, LA, Medicare Advantage will work fine for you.
Because there's all kinds of different
All
providers.
kinds of different options that you have.
Yeah.
Here, you don't have those options and nobody is signed up for the Medicare
So it's kind of like,
Advantage
yeah.
plans. So you're just kind of, I mean, Omaha doesn't.
the only thing we have a surplus is chiropractic.
well, so what I think we have to
Thought I'd
take it
throw
back
that out.
to is in Iowa code, what public health has to provide. It's not healthcare for everybody, you know, but, and I learned a little bit yesterday, you know, that you can't be on a sliding scale. And I asked Libby, our doctor who's there, we had a kind of a good conversation. So if I go to the hospital and I have Advantage and they take care of me, they are gonna send me a bill for the difference. And they are going to put a lien on my property if it's a big bill. Why can't public health do the same thing? You know, why, but we just can't. That's, you know, we're either take it or we don't. And so you could be a multimillionaire and decided you don't.
Most of these farms you can't touch anymore anyway.
Well,
Right.
I
Put
use
them in
farms
trust.
because
LLCs, they're in trusts, yeah, all the things.
I use
yeah.
farms because, okay, let's just say you have, you know, maybe.
But any
$1
asset, any
Whatever you
assets.
have.
Well, and they
Savings.
probably have it all, but here's part, let's just cut to the quick. I don't know if it's the responsibility of the Crawford County taxpayers to pick up the difference of that bill because
There you go,
you're
that's
trying
probably
to say
better.
that's,
way to put it.
that
Right.
regardless of your, but I do believe that if you're on a $900 a month social security payment and you just don't have anything, you're living in an apartment or, you know, subsidized housing and you have this terrible medical incident and nobody will take you. That's what it comes down to is the rich will live and the poor will die. And nobody wants that to be the environment we live in, you know?
If it's a bad enough medical emergency, public health isn't gonna be helping them anyway.
Well, there's.
I mean, it's not like we do surgeries
No, no,
over
no,
at
no, no.
public health. I mean, you
But
know.
they do, you know,
You're
let's
gonna
just
have a
take,
heart attack, send it to public
Don't go
health.
there.
let's take hospice, you know, as an example.
Right,
There was a little incident where someone who has absolutely nothing has cancer. And so it's on us because, yeah, you know, I can't go into a lot of detail, but it's still, I guess we have to make that decision. We tabled it, to get more information on how we're gonna handle that because you know, you see our public health, where we don't really need to be,
we're a very not typical public health.
No, we don't.
I'm finding that out.
Yes, we are not
Yeah.
typical
But, and that's,
in size,
I do believe that's why the state
all business.
is going to be coming in and saying, you know, you're an advisory board only, it's gonna, you know, mental health is kind of being the pattern that you can look at, and they're taking all of the hits on.
Like mental health
yeah,
is going that
yeah,
pattern.
yeah. And then,
Well, I heard, this is just talk, rumors that there's potential that public health would somehow be incorporated with behavioral health. Whether that has.
So the state might have something to say what our public health department looks like.
correct. And what they're trying
And
to
they'll fund it too, right?
And what they're trying to do. Thank for the
Don't-
seat.
I don't hold my breath, yeah.
I chuckled.
And what they're also trying to do is, let's say that there's a service provided in Crawford County, but it's not provided in Carroll County, and you can't, go make it so that the services are more fit to, that 99 different public health,
I do think if any of that, there's a fine line. It kind of like, makes sense when you can't provide services because you're so limited that you combine with the neighbor so that you can.
Right.
Where Region 12 to me is the prime example of a working cooperation between 6 counties.
Yeah.
Rolling Hills, not so much. When you get so big that it all just goes to Woodbury or Sioux
That was-
City,
that was-
that isn't working
that
either.
was-
So there's that. You have to combine to fit the needs of the area you're providing for, but yet not, it's so big. We lose our voice here too.
Speaking of Rolling Hills, I talked to Dawn yesterday because I wasn't gonna be able to make it to my advisory board meeting because my public health board was gonna go along because we got that closed session. And so I kind of wanted to pick her brain a little bit about these buildings that we bought when we were the region, when they were all put in. And now they're wanting to sell them. And I said, will we get our money back? We will. The counties that put in will get.
Really?
She thinks, of course, she's not running, she's, from all that she can gather, that should be the way that goes, that, it's,
Yeah, but that really troubles me.
it should.
I mean, all of them services were supposed to be provided out of it. Now, we know one of them buildings wasn't doing it damn.
That's right.
But, I mean, I just keep, where are all these like stepping stones, if that would get shut down? I mean, who's
Or,
what is mental health then? I mean, let's just get rid of it altogether.
or how can they spend 40,000 on landscaping in Sioux City at one of the.
Right.
Because they had somebody to
Right, why
spend.
would they fund that?
So the facility that we
Because
talked
they
about
have
in
money to
Sioux City, had another asking of $307,000 because they were running short, and that was a big discussion. On, would it look to the state like they were just trying to shovel monies, because if we have too much money at the end, then we don't get as much each quarter. It's just, so they were trying to really justify if
You're in
we.
money.
That's you're so irresponsible. It's so sad.
But it's the government,
It's
the way
so
it
sad.
operates.
It is something that you
Didn't
can't
know.
fight. It's something that being stubborn isn't gonna get you anywhere. It's what is gonna happen, now, remember they had the maps and then they had a map and then they said, well, don't look at any of those maps. Which I got.
The forever changing
If you
map.
stop and think about it though, that's exactly what we did in January. If you didn't spend it, we took it away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing. But by the same token, we're responsible enough that if the sheriff came in and said, I desperately need whatever, we
Right,
would
yeah.
then create a line item and say, all right, there that is, this year.
The other talk that they had was
You know
starting
what
with
I'm saying?
a zero budget. Instead of taking the budget and just saying, well, this was our budget last year and we're gonna just add, a certain percentage to it. Dave was on that.
I thought that was very interesting that there are counties who do it absolutely backwards to me as far as, you do an awesome job of compiling
You do.
our
No.
department
yeah,
budgets.
but
We go through them with fine tooth and we say, okay, here's our total amount that we need to have to make after we cut and do whatever. Counties do it the opposite.
Mhm.
It's like, how in the world, they'll levy and then say, okay, now,
This is how much.
You're like, this is how much money we have.
right.
Yeah, and this is how much, general fund, supplemental, whatever, all the funds that we levy, which is only 4 basically, and debt
But
service.
then they fill up to that level instead of the other way. Like,
Yeah,
It's backwards.
I'm a note taker and I was like, I didn't take notes on this one, it's like, it's just.
right.
On the other hand, and this is where I differed in view a little bit with Eric
You were
and
there for the
Abigail
different.
on this. Their point was, we needed the state to come in and set House File 718. They needed the capital counties. And more so directed at the dirty 30. Yeah, they needed to do that. I said,
And Barron's not a dirty 30, are they? They're not one of them.
no,
No,
but I said,
I didn't think so.
maybe I'm not empathetic enough, but to me, that's on that county. You get a county of supervisors that overspend, or they do it backwards like that and got over.
But you know, guess who allowed them to do that?
Your tax?
Guess who, no,
Well,
guess
because
who they
voted
had
them
to ask permission
in.
of?
The state to go over, right. Which
And
is,
now the state's like, whoa, you've gone too far.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean? I think,
my thing
I think
is,
it's.
I don't need
think
Big Brother to
it's-
come in and tell us all we have to do it this way.
Right,
They're elected by their own people. The
Right.
state allowed them to do that.
right,
You know what? Grow up in that county and vote somebody
Right.
else if you don't like it.
right, exactly.
Dave, who was the guy that I was always kind of sitting close to that, I think theirs is like 598,
If they have real high taxes in Dallas County, Crawford
I'm
County
just
is,
terrible with names and
got
reading
property
names.
for sale.
You always have a comment.
I think he was from Lee County.
We're up,
That's
we're
right,
open.
that's right.
Area.
We're open
We're
for
open,
business.
come on
It
over.
starts with a B.
Here, yeah.
Can't we
He was
do it the
Lee
same way
County
they do it
down
in the
Really?
States?
Okay, cause he's
Down
one
the
of,
corner.
five
That's what we have to
ninety-eight.
offer, come on over.
How'd they get there?
Well, they had to petition the state to go over for, you know,
Yeah, cause
Yes,
he stands up all the time and talks. They're one of, he's real, and he's.
about being one of the dirty
They're
30 and,
598 is where they're at.
oh, that's their levy, that's their general fund levy?
That's
is that
where-
just the general, or is that,
Is that supplemental?
no, it would be combined.
I don't know if he
He said
did.
it was like 598.
Yeah, he did, that's.
Oh,
number,
really?
'cause I was
You
sitting
don't
like right
remember what
next to him.
county it was?
Lee.
Oh, Lee
Lee
County,
County.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'll go
But-
look.
And I do think the majority of counties, the House File 718 really didn't affect us yet, but,
No.
I mean, our levy went down,
right, and we
But-
still had enough new
But
revenue.
But that was because we were
but that
being
was because our
responsible.
valuations
Our
jumped so
value-
high.
Yeah, and we were
I
being
just got my-
responsible
You
there.
got your tax statement?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I wanna bring it in and who I talked to about that.
What do you wanna talk to? What do you wanna know?
No,
Why the county's asking for so much money?
well,
I'm just playing.
we really talked a lot about pie charts, that there should be a pie chart on
Webster
those
County
sheets
does
that go out.
Oh,
And they
there's
said
one
that-
on the website.
They recommend that we go with.
Put it on the tax statement.
I
Yeah,
don't know if you can, there's
said
not
Beacon?
enough room.
Beacon does that, or Webster County.
Can we make it
I
another
don't,
page?
you have to talk to your treasurer, cause I don't do tax
Can we
statements.
I
make
was thinking
another
we
page?
talked to
She
our
does.
IT.
IT doesn't do tax statements either. She's,
She was there.
The
she
interesting thing,
outsources it. I know.
Webster County had Beacon, or they used Beacon somehow to put it on their tax statement as a pie chart. He said, right away, they got calls from their, was it hospital and
Yes,
school
yeah.
board, and what are you doing? People are calling us now saying, our portion is
Too high.
too high.
But
Welcome
isn't
to the
this
reality.
easy to read?
Welcome to the
Yeah.
real
I
world.
have, I have.
You know,
This
like,
is- This is the
we like to
county.
fly under the radar,
No,
but I
not
don't think
really. This
that-
is-
No, I know.
You're the
Yeah,
county.
public
County.
I know.
Which they've changed, but that's another conversation.
Cause nobody goes down and breaks out, you know, it's written down there that this is a percentage of each
Yeah.
taxing entity, but
Yeah.
when you see
Right,
it.
but it's very clear on your tax statements.
It is.
Starts with the highest, goes to the lowest.
Yeah, but
I
it does,
mean-
it still isn't obvious.
It isn't obvious enough.
Oh, it's not?
It is for
No.
you, you look at them all the time, but your general person out there,
You just have to put
you show it in a
yourself
simple
the-
pie chart,
Yep.
it's obvious. I mean,
It's
it's like-
crazy how that makes a difference.
Cool.
We have them, they're on the website.
We all need to, one of the supervisors I was sit by said that she has the pie chart on her
The
phone,
treasurer's
a picture of it. And anytime somebody
No,
talks to her.
from the
she
auditor's
puts it on her phone and
office.
says,
I do it.
Here's what it is,
She just collects taxes.
so,
I didn't know.
I,
Yeah, that was
I
good.
do all the rest.
yeah. A lot of good ideas, but I
I didn't
do,
know where it was under,
Yeah,
what heading.
auditor.
auditor. Maybe we should just kind of make that more known to the average person that opens up that statement. You know, you don't get way to the bottom and it's kind of small print, not gonna lie, you know, you have to be looking for it. For me, it is, well.
Come on.
And my glasses on. But,
I thought there was some good discussion. on
I
that
thought so
in that
too.
section.
Hot Topics got a little hot. Can't remember what it was about, but it was, remember when they were.
The auditor,
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah, so there's a little bit of
I
a,
blocked
Page
that.
County.
Controversy,
Supervisors
imagine
and-
that.
not
Oh,
auditors,
yes.
and auditors.
Yeah.
There
What
was,
about?
there was an objective from the supervisors LPC
I could
about
read it.
Oh,
to
yeah,
you.
there was.
Hold on.
I read it.
allowing them to appoint their own clerk for duties that you cover now.
Hot Topics.
And it really boiled down to Page County.
Page County. I'm glad I'm not in Page County. I'm glad I'm a supervisor.
There's a
Page.
huge
or an auditor.
huge fight between the auditor and supervisor.
Oh, really?
Minutes and how the minutes are spelled out and who's doing what and.
Cause you have everything to say about those minutes.
Right.
Cause if something is in there, that's why we send them to you on, I think you get them on like Thursday
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
so. Yes, we definitely want you to read them and
You
we
never-
want you to,
Because
because if there's something missing, or if the public's telling you, I wanna see more of this. You need to let us know that and.
Right, because I think what it boiled down to
Megan can
from the
adjust
people
that.
there was that they're the supervisor's minutes.
Right, they're not
So-
my minutes.
So if you present the minutes and we want to see them changed, we have today's meeting, whether approve the minutes, we don't want to approve those minutes, we want to.
Right, that's why you get them so soon.
Exactly, exactly, so we can make changes. to them.
Yes,
And then we can approve whether you approve them or not, it doesn't
right,
matter.
we just
That's what I guess I didn't
take
understand why
notes, we write them the
Right.
best to our, to
they.
But
Exactly.
once
what
again,
we feel.
an
I
object
will
to come
say
out
this.
for one county,
Yeah.
that they
One
wanted
county.
to have everybody.
Everybody, right.
I will say this, when I was the chair, you never objected to anything I talked to you about on agendas and minutes or anything. So she was always cooperative with me and I would ask questions or I would say, this is what I want to do.
You'll
So-
know when I disagree, but
Really?
yes,
But I mean, you were very cooperative all the time.
yeah, I try.
What it was.
Sometimes you don't know how
basically,
lucky you are.
Is one of
Do you?
the people thought she was putting too much information in there and they didn't want it.
Oh,
to-
in the minutes?
In the minutes. And they just,
Well, she should
Well,
have
that's what the
adjusted
one
that.
supervisor
one
accused
supervisor.
Oh.
yes,
of the other, I mean, they were two different supervisors from the same county, both wanted something different.
Oh,
and the, one of the
From the
supervisors
statewide,
was,
to fix their problem.
pulling my hair
had
out.
been the auditor for 30 years. And
Imagine
then
that.
got us to be a supervisor, and so
Oh.
it's a younger gentleman that
Oh.
didn't appreciate all of the information about
Well,
who said
Is
what.
what she said he didn't appreciate.
Well,
We
he
don't know if
He didn't really argue.
he stood up and wanted to speak and they finally
Lonnie
said,
called question.
right.
Okay, all right.
So it was gonna keep
It
going
got
on and on
voted
and on.
I
down.
happen to have,
It
It
did,
did go.
oh, good, I was hoping it did, cause it kind of struck me, and when I first read it, and I thought, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So
You're not-
counties,
I mean, I'll
back.
just be sitting out there in the audience for the hour and a half,
But
or
then
2 or 3
how
hours.
can you
that
say
need.
you're
So I can
fiscally
know what I need to
conservative,
know.
and you're gonna go hire
I know.
a position to
We're
cover
taking
that
it out of
duty?
the auditor's budget.
No, you're not.
I-
No, I agree. No, yes. And there are probably certain counties that maybe
Personalities, it
need
was
that.
personalities.
Yes, yes. I've been very fortunate over the 15 years. I think I've been doing this 15
Because I
years.
think, doesn't Iowa code say the auditor shall, and then it lists as far as,
I think so. I can't remember.
and I think that's part of what they wanted to change, not for it to say shall. That it, you know.
Should say
But there
may.
was a county that had their own up front over here, kind of, remember they stood up and said they had their own?
I think the county auditor has to sign on
Right.
Yes.
themselves, that I don't,
We
yeah.
have to agree to
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
For
And if
having
you
a
have,
clerk here.
but
Yeah.
those are the counties that have secretaries, you know?
Right.
If you're in Johnson County, you have a secretary and an office in the
Right.
courthouse.
Some of those
They've got
auditors
research
aren't like
people.
working,
Right.
they don't
Story
like
County.
do the
They got-
valuation stuff like I
Yeah,
do. They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
do the tax billing. They have
Yeah.
people doing that.
But there's 99 counties, 99
99
ways of doing
ways.
things. Who says what's
If
right,
you've
what's
met-
wrong?
if you've seen one
Like
county,
Polk, he doesn't.
seen one
do
county.
stuff.
No,
Right.
no.
He's a great auditor and he's very knowledgeable, but
He's elected.
he's not the one pushing the pen and,
I'm gonna read this.
She was right.
what is it? Oh, the meetings. Look at you.
I don't.
So something, I guess, since we
Robert.
just have a few minutes left.
I'm
that,
sorry. That was a good conversation.
Right, I've
We
got,
can talk-
I'll have to just save my West Central Community Action stuff until next week, because I wanted to continue to talk about ISAC and something
Okay.
that I thought, was interesting. That I went to the flood, the water and geology thing and, the, Iowa Geological Survey. People were there and they said that they got approved $11 million in Department of Energy funding to research if there are possible geological spots in Iowa to store CO2. And
Wow, that's it.
And so the guy said, you've got all this stuff about a pipeline. We ain't gonna need no pipeline. We're just going down. He said it's about 5 to 10,000 feet deep. And it'll be underneath all the water aquifers. It won't be above, it'll be beneath the water aquifers. And he said, that's where they're looking right now. And so I just found that interesting. I mean, there was only 15 people in that meeting. And I just happened to go there because the one I was at was kind of boring. I don't remember what it was. I just got up and walked out and
Probably
said, oh, this looks. I think it was the second retirement
Yeah,
one.
I
Okay.
sat through retirement and I,
And, so I just found that interesting that
that's very
this
interesting.
CO2 thing is not going away, whether we're gonna ship it to Illinois or ship it to North Dakota or where it's going.
Craig, that'll put a huge wrench into their whole idea to frack later.
Well, there's fracking fields in southern Iowa.
Is it really?
I was told that once. I shouldn't say it like I know it, but I was told that once.
And the other thing that I wrote down, and I was gonna ask Terry
Yeah.
about, this is totally different, but as far as the public test of voting equipment.
Yep.
So when do you do that? They said to the board of
Oh,
That was,
supervisors.
I'm glad you brought that
That
up.
was
That was a
great.
good.
That was
We
great.
do it usually 2 to 3 weeks before the
Okay.
election.
They just said that as the board of supervisors, you guys should go to that
Right.
public testing of the voting,
Yeah.
equipment.
That was great.
And that's 2 to 3 weeks prior to the general,
it's
so it'll
in
be
our
middle
notice.
October.
Yeah.
It's in
When
our
we'll do that.
notice when we
I
do
don't-
it.
I really tell you the truth, didn't either.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was, Eric Van Lanker and Becky, they
Bissell.
talked, Bissell, there you go. They just kind of talked a lot about the process and.
I feel very good.
Cause
about
it's usually unattended.
Yeah,
Sometimes we'll let, the media know or whatever, and they might come and take a few pictures. But
Okay.
They talked too about, I really like they clarified, how we're an absentee state versus an early voting state and
correct.
differences.
Yep, there's just
and-
a lot
Yeah.
of good information.
people might call it early voting, but it's absentee.
Right,
Whether it's-
exactly.
Whether it's
exactly.
a
They stress that.
satellite,
They
whether
stress
it's at our counter, whether it's a nursing home ahead of, anything before election day is absentee
that.
voting.
And they stress that makes Iowa.
Today's the first day you can request your absentee ballot be mailed to you. Of course, it won't be mailed to you till October,
Yeah.
but today's the first day you can send in a request form for that. So in case people are asking you about voting absentee, they can start requesting those early because the window for absentee voting is very short for us to mail out. So don't wait till the last
We did
minute.
talk about, and I don't know if we do this, when they go into like a nursing home and they'll send
Oh, yes.
a person from each party.
We absolutely do.
Yeah, there's.
It's usually about that same time period is when we do that. We have, we don't, of course, we don't have Manila anymore. That used to be one of our nursing homes. But we have the care center and we have Gracewell.
But who actually,
We
is
go
it
to.
somebody, like you have a Democrat? or
We have a
Republican,
bipartisan team, that
And they go to the.
does
nursing home,
that.
And
we
that,
contact those activity directors and they help to coordinate that. They get us those request forms
okay,
ahead of time. Of course, we always send some blank ones in case they have a new resident.
okay.
We send the number of ballots, all of that's prepared for the bipartisan team that goes to those locations.
They talked about an elderly mother that the kids were afraid how she would vote. So every time they knew the voting team was coming, they'd take her out of the nursing home so that she did get to vote with them.
Nice.
It was all.
I mean, they could be there and if she needs assistance, they could assist her
Yeah. Well, you
instead of
would,
avoiding voting.
you wouldn't really want to
Yeah,
have your,
crazy.
staff at the nursing home help either, because they could say, oh, you don't really want to vote for that person.
No,
you
yeah,
know, so
and
you-
the assistance is just merely because if someone has Parkinson's or just
Yeah.
has a lack of ability to mark a ballot, because we don't send our FETs out,
So one of the questions I have is, you're supposed to fill in the.
dark in the oval.
If you put an X, does it not count?
So it kind of depends on how your X lands, because the way the machine reads the oval. If it doesn't see it in reading it, say your X is off to the side of the oval
Okay,
and it doesn't read it, it looks like a blank.
okay.
So yeah, the instructions are to darken the oval. Of course, you don't have to darken the whole thing. I would darken at the center
Yeah,
mostly.
yeah, I make it.
It's not hard, and if you're worried about it, use our FETs, our marking machines. They
Yeah.
don't count votes. It merely helps to mark a ballot. That's all it does, creates a ballot.
Yeah. So I think we had a lot of great conversation.
That was one of the, I think,
That was one of the
most popular sessions there. It was a full room.
The other thing that somebody brought up, completely off these subjects, was, I think it was Carol. They should have your compensation board meetings on Zoom so people can hear that process and,
Oh,
that.
that's a good idea. We could
seems-
do that.
That seems to almost be done in the dungeon and nobody knows what the conversation is and how that.
I think our last one we had
I
up
actually
here.
even had people ask me, what do they do?
Yeah,
That would solve that question.
yeah, so.
Yeah,
That's
a good idea. We
is
could do
really
that.
Transparency.
Do that.
Especially
Well,
after
there's
the-
Zoom down in the,
Especially after the
Conference room.
critical
I think
thinking
there's a lot of
that went
people that
on in
would
this
sit
last
in
one, I
and
mean,
see
for the
how-
public to be able to see
What
that.
the thought processes are and how that works and so
Yeah,
that was a good
excellent.
suggestion, I thought. just
Awesome.
offer it. So just little things like that. It was,
All in all, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some of them that I bounced into ours.
Yeah. I can't think of the last one that I just about assistant. Well, I know when I went into the retirement one, I didn't even take a seat. I stood there like, what am I'm already retired. I can't learn anything.
Well, and I guess just working in that realm of.
Yeah, I knew you.
Financial planning realm, I mean, I went in and sat down with the guy from Nationwide that was there.
Yep.
And he gave his spiel and I was like, man, there's something really important that he left out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring that up when he asked for questions that I think that the whole crowd needs to know, this whole room needs to know. Because he forgot to say it. And he didn't ask for questions. He just ended his thing. He says, I'll be back in my booth. If you got a question, come back and talk to me. And he got up and walked away. And the guy I was standing next to, I said, what he really forgot to say was this. And the guy goes, yeah, that was pretty important.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have known that.
It kind of seemed like a sales
And,
pitch to me.
What did he miss?
Well, he talked about converting your traditional IRA into a Roth IRA, which makes perfect sense that based on your income, if you've got, let's say, in your income tax bracket, you've got 20 grand before you get jumped up into the next tax bracket, is you take 20 grand of your traditional IRA, roll it into your Roth IRA, and because your Roth IRA is tax free.
Yep.
And, that's totally fine to tell that. I said, what he forgot to say is that because he talked about your RMD, your required minimum distribution at age 73, you have to start taking it out. You only have to take that out of your traditional IRA. If it's in a Roth IRA, you never have to take that. It's not succumb to any RMD. So if you're going to do some financial planning, is that if you can convert that stuff into your Roth IRA, one, you never have to take it out, and two, you can pass on to your kids tax free, or your traditional IRA is now taxed at your kids' tax bracket. And usually, your kids are in a higher tax bracket than you are as you are retired and each of your income is less. And so I just said, I'm surprised he didn't say that. And the guy sat next to me goes, yeah, that'd be kind of good to know. I didn't know that.
You should have given the
Well,
call.
that's what the guy told me. He said,
It's
you
a
should have been up there.
free
talking."
retirement
There you
advisor.
We'll get a
You
$7
charge me a
call.
lot.
Great things for free.
And we're gonna add that to the agenda every week, 15 minutes of Craig's financial advice.
Starting at 9:45.
Oh,
All
Good
good
stuff,
stuff. We
good
were just
stuff.
talking about what we picked up at ISAC and the good things that brought, there's a lot of good discussion
Oh, yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
A lot of good.
Are you good?
have I got a deal for that?
Have I got a deal for
There,
you?
it's 8 that I got so
Thank
far.
you, sorry.
You've already got
I
your
do.
blue
I have
slips.
the winning one for the record.
We haven't
so I
purchased
will
them
expect
recently.
Dave-
Yeah,
Yeah, nobody was
I would
leaving
take
until we got
20
one.
more though.
You would,
Two-
okay, we'll
ten.
meet tomorrow and I'll bring them,
Yeah,
thank you.
2 groups of 10 and then, I'll try to get rid of all these.
No problem, I
Yeah.
appreciate
It's a
that,
good
thank
cause.
you, yeah, it is.
Yeah, Thank you.
Better
Thank
chance
you.
of winning if you have 20 of them.
Well, you know, those are the corporate memberships.
Oh, oh,
What comes with that? I said, nothing.
Nothing. You get
You just
10
get,
tickets.
you get 10 of them.
Yeah, you get 10
So-
tickets.
got that coffee group.
Anyhow, yeah. But, yeah, just have one permit here. It's just, Frontier Communications, more a service line in. The box culvert, and they're pouring walls this afternoon. On the inlet section, and they'll have 3 more pours left after that. So, you know, it's moving along pretty good. So I say, once they get up out of the base and start going up, it's a lot easier. But once they get the pour, you know, those walls in, then we're home free. So moving along. The grade crew, they're over there by Kyle's, actually working on the intersection just east of his house now. That's been something we've been wanting to get to for about 4 or 5 years now. Dirt's close. We're just hauling dirt over there and taking care of that as well as
Any pictures?
finish up the project. It's a nice.
I got a bunch of pictures for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice project.
They go, it showed where they were pushing the dirt in.
Mhm.
I got a couple of cool pictures of the dump truck there, and I'll post
I
it.
see it.
Like Dave says, when you're pushing over the banks, Dave Rice, he said, you gotta be careful because you can't see, you know, I mean, you're starting up here 15 to 20 feet in the air and you're starting to just kind of gradually push it and working it in. You know, so you gotta stop before you get too far so you don't end up sitting.
No, dude, yeah.
Sitting
Got a
on
picture of
top.
that,
But,
Todd?
nobody
Went that far.
You ought to just hop in with them
I
sometimes.
should.
Dave let me know yesterday, he's got a buddy seat in the sheep's
Yeah.
foot tractor.
I did drive
I
that
think you were in
electric,
that
I
dozer,
did,
yeah.
I did, I just
Yeah.
haven't, I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't-
So, but anyway, that project's going really well, I know. So I think we're gonna get to a point here though this fall where some of the landowners, we all get it, you know, they don't want stuff for wholly insured crowd, destroy a greater project. So we may get to the point where we're just gonna have a parking lot for a few weeks, wait till the gas crops out. So,
Keep some beans turning.
yeah.
What are they putting in on Donna Reed Road? What is that they're trenching in on Donna Reed?
Well, it has to be the fiber.
Is the fiber? Okay.
Yeah,
You're just.
they're all over, Jeannie.
They are all.
It's all,
All
yeah, I
over
kind of thought.
Western Iowa Network.
I seen they had one of their tractors or their dozers with the trench deal sitting up there, one corner on one corner.
Should we be hooking up with them then?
That's cool.
You know?
That's an
I
option.
know, but
I mean, they're probably gonna, I mean, they're all around Dennis. I mean.
well, I'm up for a new
You
internet.
know, you
Because
saw
mine
it
is
out there,
constantly
but they'll
buffering.
be hardwired to your house. So there won't be any interference with anything.
Yeah, I got-
It'll be hardwired.
I got more buffering going on at my house than actual TV watching a lot of times. so.
Yeah. Well, it gives you a chance to make some microwave popcorn. I want my fifth bag, Jerry.
It's a
Start.
movie star.
Yeah, but yeah,
Up for that.
I mean, that was the whole goal of the governor with the ARP, you know, American Rescue Plan money. There's hundreds of millions of dollars spent to bring high-speed internet to the rural areas.
Good.
And that's what this is really all about, is trying to connect everybody out there.
They are, but they're barely on the road, if you know, it's, you know, they're just.
I know,
kind
we've been monitoring and trying to work with these people, and honestly, when you ask them to do things, they do it, but they're
Yeah.
just, I mean, they've got like 2 or 3 different crews.
Right.
And we
I'm
just can't
happy
be,
they're doing the 59 south. I mean, while
It's
the bridge,
closed.
right, it's closed,
yeah,
That
and
makes
they-
great sense, yeah.
so they're getting it done
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So, you know, soon it'll be over with. Hopefully this fall, they'll be done with it, but they've.
The bridge or
That's supposed to be done in a couple of weeks. So,
Nice.
but, yeah, and then the bridge crew, they're working on patching on L-51. You know, that pavement, you know, we got that scheduled for 2026 overlay, but the underlying concrete, the aggregate in it, it's what they call alkali silica reactivity. The aggregates kind of react. So at the joints, you've probably seen this, and that's why joints fail. They basically just starts to turn into gravel. you know, from freezing, thawing, and it just starts to break down. And so,
Vibration of that traffic, probably.
it's more of a chemical,
Oh, is it?
physical, you know, it's not, well, you know, obviously the traffic will aggravate it once it's got to the point where it doesn't have structure anymore.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening underneath of there. And like I told Tim, I said, you know, we got about 33 areas there that we're working on, you know, different bumps.
Well, we have to cut that out, because some are like, what, heaves.
Yeah, we're taking the whole thing.
Well, some of them,
Yeah.
just feel like they've knocked your back axle out
Yeah.
when they were bigger.
We tried to grind them. Well, now, you know, there's nothing left,
Underneath the grind.
right. It's kind of that bad. So that's what they're doing over there. But you know, we've got that slated for an overlay and, you know, I mean, really there, you can't take care of that joint problem other than doing isolated patching, adding more structure.
Yeah.
Tearing the whole thing out and starting over.
Yeah.
Those are your only options. So we're gonna fix, we add some more structure and that'll bridge it, just continue to do that over time. So that's what
We
we're at.
don't have a lot on our counties, but I've been watching like on 141. You know how they, when they widen highways,
Mhm.
you got that crease, that crack out there where the old
The joint, yeah.
joint's right there. Yeah, it's a crack anymore, but I mean, that just keeps sinking. We don't have any like that catch your attention. I mean, I'm in my drive.
See, E16, we widened that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't see it.
That's
You don't see a line there.
No, that's what I mean.
Now, you know, we put 5 inches of asphalt on top over that and, you know, try to do a really good job. But that's the objective, is to not see that. You know, but sometimes it will reflect through if you don't have enough structure on top. But
So like even like the substrate soil probably should have been worked different when they did it, or?
yeah, I don't, you know, I think, you know, generally that fill is probably still pretty good. That it was built on, it's just, you know, having enough structure beneath that, because up at A16, I think we put 7 or 8 inches of asphalt and then another 5 on top of that. So there's a lot of mix out there on that shoulder. A little bit less on Donna Reed, but it's still looking fine after 7 years. You know, that looks good. So,
I just noticed none of our county roads look as bad as 141, so I wondered the difference just for future knowledge.
it has to do with the
Because
engineer.
our wise old engineer won't be here.
So-
So I'm trying to learn a little.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's a matter of the balance of providing enough structure out there to carry the load and tying it together.
It's like what we did with the subgrade deal down there on, by Dow City. Just building a better base.
Yep.
It actually
And that,
improves the life of the road you're building.
well, you have to have, the key is enough structure and uniform. You want uniformity in that. Remember driving south of Donna Reed, or at the end of Donna Reed, and then at M55, E53 going into Manila.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall 15 years ago, it was, we did it in 2009, but they had patched that. When they took the patches out, they put like 1.5 foot of crushed aggregate in there, you know, in the hole. And so what happens when it freezes? Frost forms by capillary action, the moisture coming up through a fine grained soil. So this comes back to this, it all being similar. So now you have this dissimilar block there. And in February every year, so. You did every one of those, because the patch didn't heat.
Yeah.
Everything else around it did, but the patch didn't. And so that was a problem.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful that you know, keep everything uniform, even if it's uniformly bad, at least it's uniform. So,
Will our new engineer that we have hire know all of this?
Well, we hope so.
I'm just
well, you know,
asking. Is it just common?
it comes from experience. I mean, you know, you all start someplace.
Yeah, I get it.
And, so,
We just gotta make sure we find one that's got a lot of wisdom, but also a lot of sense to
A
listen.
little bit, yeah,
Got ears,
And young.
got ears.
yeah.
And he's young and will be.
hopefully somebody will stick around a while, but,
I
yeah, I
do
mean, I
know-
talked to a
do
lot
know
of people at
there's-
ISAC.
I
you
do know
yeah.
there's an engineer available again. Have
Yeah.
you heard?
No.
Matt's actually, going back into engineering.
Really? Okay.
Might be worth sniffing. I
Matt,
mean, they probably offered him more money than we could ever.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, he'd be backed by family.
And who's this?
Good family
I
people.
mean, I talked to
They would
the
get- it was gonna be a-
Woodbury County engineer, and he's also retiring.
Mark.
And, he said his agreement was, I mean, we were sitting at a table with, some other guys, and he said, well, somebody said, when's your last day? He said, well, I don't know. I agreed to stay until they hired a new one. And, the guy sitting next to me said, well, you'll be there for another decade.
Yeah.
Should have agreed to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that our agreement with you?
I'm not gonna leave you hanging, but I hope we can get things worked out. So
Yeah.
they said, well, we always go to plan B. And somebody says, well, what's that? I said, I don't know.
I wasn't in that meeting.
So, but we'll see. I don't know. Have you gotten any applications? Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a lot of there's some really good younger engineers that we have in the county engineer ranks, and, they just, they're happy where they're at.
Right.
They're usually have some sort of family connection, and they just said, yeah, we just,
I
Family.
was talking to Rick Thompson about Alvin County. I think they have a relatively young county engineer. So,
Mitch.
okay.
Oh, yeah, I've talked to Mitch. He lives in Carroll.
Yeah, right.
He'd be
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
He checks a lot of the boxes. But we just wait and see.
Okay.
So,
Got a lot of boxes to check.
in October 11th, so if you're familiar, there's these federally funded watersheds. You guys are probably all familiar with them. They were under what was called the PL 566, Public Law 566. So there's Mill Picayune Creek down in near Shelby County, Harrison County, Dane Ridge, Big Park, or the watersheds that are down in the Dow City area. So a lot of these structures were built on farmers' farms, okay, and they were really promoted by the farmers. They wanted watersheds because they did a couple of things. These gullies were just unraveling. And so, a lot of them were built in pasture areas at the time. A lot of that's been converted now, but, so they were paid 100% by the federal government to, help control the gully from eroding and then provide livestock watering, sometimes recreation. But they are the responsibility, and Lauren Miller's probably been here and talked to you about the fact that they are the responsibility of the district and sometimes the county to maintain those for a certain period. Once they reach their design life, there's probably less responsibility, but they still provide some really good value and purpose. And so there's certainly some merit in continuing to try to take care of those. They're supposed to be inspected annually or at least every couple of years, and then they sometimes will do some work on
Don't
them.
Lauren do that though?
Pardon?
He does our inspecting.
Well, I'm not sure who's.
I'm not sure he does the inspecting, but
He
Right,
hasn't done.
he's part of, yes.
right. So anyhow,
I know
if
you've talked
anyone's
about it.
interested in October 11th is when it's gonna be here in Denison. They're having a training program here for like the district, because I mean, I worked for the NRCS for 13 years, and that's what I did. I designed and built these dams for, and I did a lot of work in Monona County. What's called the PL 534 watershed program, but you just don't want them to just kind of just go away, be ignored, or, and so this is kind of an effort on a statewide basis to essentially make sure that people are aware of the importance of them, the things to be looking for, and trying to maintain these and keep them in place. So if anyone's interested, that'll be going on in October. So safety meeting and luncheon, Thursday, you're all welcome. We're gonna do a hands-on chainsaw. We're gonna cut down a few trees out of Yellowstone.
Oh,
Drop a couple in that, what do you call it, the woodland shelter. That's first one you would turn into and have that big parking lot up on the hill there and in the woodland shelter. There's a couple of big ash trees that are dead.
Just
And
to
so-
the north of where you turn to go to the ordinance center.
Yep, the
what
next
time does
one.
that start?
Well, we're gonna be out there at 9 o'clock,
Okay.
but the guys are gonna be in their gear and chainsaw. We're gonna have a hands-on, this guy from the DNR's coming. He's gonna do a hands-on chainsaw safety training, and I've invited the park guys to come and join us too.
Nice.
So there's a lot of dead trees out there, and apparently they're doing a lot of cleanup, in the park, to get rid of some of the trees, so, we'll start at 9.
So if he drops it on the shelter house, it was not a successful training session.
Probably not. It's like when my kids were in Boy Scouts and they had a pocket knife safety.
Oh, no.
Fail.
Fail.
It's like, how can you make a deal? Oops.
Well, cause I mean, I remember the last training session you had, it was about chainsaws, I guess, one of them
How do you
was,
get to talk
but it was
about
on the film.
It was just a video, yeah.
Yeah, so what to do, and I mean, my son and I actually did that this weekend.
That's what it
He had a great big tree that was straight up and down, and I told him, so we just notch it here and cut it across
Yeah.
there, and we dropped it right, he said, "You dropped it dead right where you said it was gonna drop."
Perfect. You could probably come too.
There you go.
Okay, can you chainsaws? Do some training.
After he gets done giving us
Yeah.
our retirement minutes,
But,
end of his story.
but it's important for people to, in the hands-on, we can actually accomplish something. We're actually
Right.
get rid of 2 trees that the park wants to get rid of anyhow. And they're big and they're gnarly and they're kind of in a
That'll
bad
be fun.
area. But we hopefully don't drop them on anything of any value.
Bring your pink heart out.
So,
I got one.
Yeah. so then, 11:30 to 12, somewhere in that time frame, we'll be doing maybe some grill some loin and have a luncheon, so you're welcome to come out for that. And so, and equipment, so have I got time, right? Let's see, you're looking at the clock, is there anything?
Nope,
No, no, they don't have a bet on how long.
10 minutes. How long I'll be here?
No, meeting,
Yeah.
whole meeting.
Well, without
Well,
Kyle,
anyhow,
Kyle
so-
always tells me to keep it moving. so that would
On
be-
the one side, it says FYE 2025, on the other side, it says FYE 2026. So we'll start with the FYE 2025.
Already?
So, that's what I budgeted, put in the budget. That's what we would intend to purchase. Other than, I think I might swap the D4 dozer and buy, an end loader instead. And we'd probably put a new, so, yeah, the 2025 is what we're starting with. Yeah, and then in 2026, so I just would be moving those, proposed, so the 2026 obviously is something we haven't done yet. That's the budget that you'll start working on here in a few months. So they've got an end loader. An end loader probably makes more sense. We don't put a lot of hours on it, but they're really important when you need them. And so what I'd probably do is we've got a 938 down here. So the new one would go here in Denison, and the old one will probably either go to Schleswig or Charter Oak. And which, it's only like 3 years old. So it's a relatively new one, but you have to have some that are reliable and they start to age out. So that's a possibility. I just wanted to kind of run this by you. Now you can take this, study it, look at it.
So Paul, is that normally, I mean, are you right around that 1.3, 1.4 million in purchases on? an
We're
annual
usually
basis?
$1 million or so,
Okay.
you know.
And I see
we're
that you're selling many more machines than you're purchasing, so does that mean that the
Well-
machines do more, or we just don't have the people to run
It's
these?
kind of the
or-
timing, it's the timing, Craig, of when I sell it, so I have to try to guess.
Right.
When will I get the new one and when will it's kind of like these Mack trucks. They're supposed to be in Des Moines right now being built out so that we would have them in October, start of the season. Well, now they're not gonna get to Des Moines till November. And we had purchased these way back last year in August, if you remember, and they, actually it was before that, because they were trying to, they said, well, if you do this, we'll get you a build date. We haven't paid for anything, but what you're doing is you're taking action to try to secure something in the future. And everything fell into place, Hawkeye was gonna take the trucks August, and then they'd have them ready, a couple of months, they'd have them ready, and we'd get them out here, we'd be ready for the season. Well, now we're not gonna get those trucks till probably sometime after the first of the year. So the older trucks, we gotta make sure, I was hoping we wouldn't have to run those out here. We're gonna have to run them, so.
Right.
So anyhow, to your point here, we're not adding anymore. This is just moving stuff out that we will have been replacing. And basically there, Craig, what I'm showing is 2 fiscal years worth.
Right, I see that.
Because when I do the budget, I gotta predict, well, will I sell that this year? Will I trade it? Will I sell it? You know, and then sometimes we take delivery, and hopefully we do. Like, let's say that we approve the motor graders and the dozer. Ideally, we take delivery of those in March of 2025. But pay for those in July. So then if we do that, well, then we're gonna try to sell the other stuff. So we could take delivery of those, not pay for them until the next fiscal year, but sell the existing ones in the current fiscal year. Or we might do a trade, if that's the best deal. Well, then that all gets pushed into the next fiscal year. So it's kind of a guess sometimes. And, you know, you just gotta kind of mentally keep track of it and know where here could be a potential little, you know, just be aware of it, I guess. It's never really a problem. It's just, because you're always wanting to try to get the best deal you can.
I'm happy to see that you're still planning ahead like you're, you know,
All right,
that's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Wonderful for the transition.
Yeah.
Over is that.
We've worked really hard for a long time. I want to keep this going.
Thank you.
Well, you have to be personal to be able to, if you need an end loader more than you need the D4 dozer, you gotta be able to
Well, and that's why I
switch and.
yeah, I talked to the guys and I said, well, you know, really at this point in the year, it kind of makes more sense to get an end loader because we're going into winter. That's when you would need the end loader. The dozer, we're kind of starting to wind down for the season. And then, of course, we're gonna get rid of one of the dozers. And then this, well, actually probably 2 dozers. We're gonna get rid of one of the D6s and then that other international, that TD15 that's on the bridge crew. You know, that's a 1983, I think. So that's, you know, it's old, it still runs, you know, but this new dozer could be used for both. And we're starting to see a winding down of our grading. It's just hard. Like I told Ben, you know, I think, you know, he may be worse about it. I said, that's a good thing. That means we got a lot done and that, you know, people are happy with what they have out there, you know. And the worst ones, the ones that are really bad, we're really trying to get those taken care of, but you know, so it's not a bad thing that that's starting to wind down. It's just saying, hey, we've got a tremendous amount of grading done and they've done a fantastic job, you know? And
They have.
And you'd have enough room in your budget if you swap the D4 for your end loader, even the end loader.
They're about
a
the
little bit,
same price.
About the same price.
yeah. So,
That would all work together.
Yeah.
That'd all be fine.
and the new pickup, you know, I'm kind of holding off, hoping that somebody comes along and then, you know, I just assume they pick the vehicle that they want. It's in this budget year, that they could pick, you know, and they want a
Just
small SUV instead of a pickup.
real quick on the used equipment.
Yeah.
You know, the very last, we had 2 identical CAT 14D M2, it's like a repeat.
You know, that's probably a mistype
And
there.
I thought they're exactly,
Yeah, that's not right, because
Okay.
we don't have 2 number 42s.
no, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking,
Yeah.
so. Just a ditto.
Yep.
That's,
I just gotta change the number there.
yeah, it's not a big deal, I just I thought that
Yep.
that's probably.
Paul, I was asked, the other day, you're talking about all of our grading projects and I said how you know, people really appreciate those, what you do. But it led to, they were wondering, you know, you get those instances where somebody goes tears them up. I said, we don't have an ordinance as far as I can remember, but in the past, I mean, we've had issues with, I remember we had a few. The sheriff was called in, especially if the truck's abandoned on it, but is there any recourse for
We could.
mudding up a brand new graded road?
You know, and that'd be something, you know, you probably want to get the law enforcement involved in the discussion. You know, a level B road, it usually doesn't take a whole lot to straighten it up.
Right.
Once it dries up, you're in there for an hour, you blade it and you move on, but it's just frustrating for the people that live out there that have to then deal with that. You know, and it's especially problematic as you start to get close to freeze up. You know, rains, they tear it up and then it froze and then you can't do anything with it, so.
It happened, I think, in Mona Lisa, my dad's, there were a semi, you know, going south on 59. Bridge is out. I'm sure he looked at his phone. His phone said, turn here on the gravel,
Yeah,
go up, take a left. Well, it had rained, what, 1.5 2 inches the night before. Started down the hill and
There's no coming back.
You ain't no coming back. And you ended up at the bottom. My dad said, hey, I came down, there were two county sheriffs parked there.
Mhm.
And, my dad said, I said something to him like, what's going on down there? And the guy, she said, the sheriff said, I ain't walking down there in this mud. I'll wait
Yeah.
for the tow truck. I don't know if they got a tractor or what they did to
Yeah.
pull them up out of there backwards, but it was a semi that.
Yeah,
That will
and
be
so there-
road.
There's an
Right.
unintentional.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody did that intentionally.
No,
The ones you really would like to catch, but then the issue is, you gotta catch them in the act,
Yeah.
are the ones that go out there and they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
They go mudding.
Yeah, I even see that, where I live out there, there's times where people out there with their UTVs and ATVs, and doing this every half mile or whatever, it's like, I don't know why you do that. I did catch one person doing it once, and I said, you need to stop doing that.
But some
So,
people like playing in the mud.
but, so I mean,
We're born that way.
yeah,
You make mud pies.
I mean, if you all, if it gets bad enough and you want something, I mean, there's counties that have ordinances against it. The thing is enforcement,
Right.
how do you catch them, So it makes you feel good. Well, we have this ordinance, you can't do that, but it doesn't really stop it.
Yeah. Unless they
I
get
wouldn't say
stopped.
we have a huge problem with it.
I don't
Every
think we
once,
do either.
every once in a while
Yeah.
you see something
Yeah.
get tore up there.
Yeah,
You know, a couple of different times on Facebook, since I've had this job, I've seen where kids have did it and took pictures even, put it on Facebook. And I've mentioned stuff,
Real right.
not doing that. And I'll tell you what, they're usually met with an apology. And, it's basically don't chew somebody out, explain to them why that's not a good idea. And a lot of times when we first started putting that grok out on them to hold them in place when you'd redo a road, they didn't realize it wasn't gravel.
yeah.
And they got out there and it ain't enough there to keep a pickup afloat, And so, then you explain that, if it says minimum maintenance, it's
And it-
still minimum maintenance.
just because we got the sides down.
Yeah, and we are, continuing to add to those.
Yeah.
We're making an effort at the grades that we've done, because that does make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
When we put the gravel on there, now we're pretty much out of the millings that we got, but I think just a light coat of gravel, the least expensive stuff we have,
Yeah.
is a good investment, because it'll help keep those in place.
Or even out of me,
Right.
so we've seen
I
it.
agree.
So if you hear it, say, well, they keep putting gravel on there, well, yeah, but, we've got an investment and it makes a difference. We just aren't gonna get it to a full-blown gravel road.
But Dave Gress brought it up like down there in his, if we don't maintenance it, pretty soon we're coming back to him wanting more dirt again
Yeah,
to build it back up again. And so, I mean, you do kind of need, that ounce of prevention or the pound of cure kind of.
yeah. So, if you hear that, we continue to do that, put a little bit out there, so.
Well,
Hey, Paul,
okay.
just on a personal standpoint on 10th Street, since you and I drive that,
Mhm.
what's the purpose, I guess, I just struck me as odd, as far as curbing the east side and no curb on the west side of the street, is that because of how they put the road in there?
Well, I
Or-
think what happens is the runoff, see, there's no ditch, okay? There's no ditch on that side. So that
Correct,
runoff
right.
gets caught in the curb and then it's directed to an intake. So it's kind of
Got
a
it.
combination. On one side,
Okay.
it's an urban section, and on the other side, it's a rural cross section. Like a rural cross section is like what you have. Okay, there's driveway pipes, open ditch, there's no intakes. And so here, I don't think there just physically wasn't room for a ditch. So they have a curb there that acts as an urban section, takes it to that intake.
All right,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so
Thank
that's-
you.
There you go.
that's what
I'm
it's-
just curious.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Problem.
Yeah.
What's nice, I mean, it's just about open, I think we're about done with
I've been
it.
driving it, that's you on the road.
I drove it. Yeah, so, okay,
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Paul, very much.
thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Yep, and again, anyone's welcome to come out.
On Thursday.
A little chance of rain, last week, I mean, you never know what's gonna happen with weather with the schedule. We'll make it all work.
Oh,
So stop first at the open shelter, because if it's nice, we're gonna try to have everything there. The chainsaw, yeah, everything, but if it's rainy and windy or whatever, we'll go to the enclosed one to have lunch.
Sounds good, Paul.
Okay.
Thank
I'll be
you.
gone, but thanks.
Okay.
Say, there's something I'd like to bring up, once you're on that
Yeah.
subject.
Tomorrow, right? At CDC, one, is it tomorrow?
I'll have to come down and
Why
talk
don't
to
you
you.
stop in? Yeah.
I wanted to bring something up since you're talking about that road, 10th Street. I know it's gotta be in my mind that Paul's never done anything extra to that road because he lives on it over the years. I mean, just knowing his mentality, I've never really discussed this with him. But I've had some people, Kirk Rocker in particular, says how bad that road can get, and the school buses are always on it. And so maybe that needs to be in our next engineers project. To at least do that subgrade thing, the stabilization and putting a seal coat on that. You know, to bring that traffic into town, you know, for the school buses in particular, nothing else, you know, and something to think about.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I mean, I can understand why Paul was there. Everybody's, oh, you're an engineer, you're getting
Yeah.
new pavement,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, so and his mentality, I can live without it, but.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the school buses, I mean, let's face it, I assume they were staying on the road instead of fishtailing around on washboards. Something to think about in the future. Anyway, sorry.
All right,
That's good.
sounds good.
We need Seth.
We need Seth.
We need Seth.
We skip down till we get him.
Does he know,
Does he
or
know?
should we call him?
He
or
should,
text him?
it's the agenda, just like everybody else does. One, he would have put it on there.
I can, I'm downstairs anyways.
You want us
Go
to
ahead.
switch to something till somebody text him or just gonna run down?
I'll run out and grab
He's
it.
gonna run down and grab it. Don't hurt him.
Grab him by the hair and drag him up there.
All right.
So hey, Ty, since we got a minute, on Friday morning, they had Jennifer Finch was there. She talked about communication
Yes,
and communication from the board to the public.
she's from Colorado.
And I thought something that was interesting is that she said that in counties where you don't have a very good newspaper presence, and we certainly, I would think would qualify as not having a good newspaper presence, and you're kind of the person that has, from a Facebook standpoint, that a lot of she said these county supervisors now have their own Facebook page. And we don't have that as far as the Crawford County Supervisors Facebook page. I thought we should bring that up for a topic of discussion to see if it's something that, you know, we
Have our own
wanna
Facebook page.
have our very own Facebook page, because I know, like, we don't have, the website is the courthouse website, and the supervisors just have a tab, I guess I'd wanna say. And there, we just have what our ordinances, meetings and agendas, and pictures of us and the boards that we're on. Is that basically?
Pretty much it.
Basically about it. But as far as, you know, passing on information that, like she was saying, is that now you control that as a county, you need to control your brand. What do you want the people to know about what the Board of Supervisors is doing?
Yeah.
And so having your own Facebook page, and then it came down to really a topic of discussion, okay, who's the person that's manning that Facebook page? Who's responding to the public when the public has a
Right.
question on that Facebook page?
And it's
All
especially
things to
Facebook.
talk about. I mean, because the lady that I talked to, she brought up that they were just starting one and they were having their HR director was gonna be the person that was gonna respond, but they were gonna try to put it as no comments. You couldn't comment on their page. And then this Jennifer said, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's a First Amendment thing. When you're presenting, they have to be able to
There's things,
respond
there's
back to
some
you.
things you don't comment in return.
Right, exactly. I mean, she mentioned
Right.
all of that,
When it
but
goes negative.
I was just thought that we should discuss if that's something that we think we wanna be doing, something we don't wanna be doing.
not the
You
worst
know,
idea.
get Jake involved from an IT standpoint as far as how to set that up, that type of thing, if that's the route we wanna go. But I just thought that, you know, you mentioned about 10th Street, something to talk about, is that I think that's something that, you know, at some point in time,
I
Yeah,
can't,
it's actually worth discussion.
I missed her introduction, and so they had, Welder County, and I kept thinking, where's Welder? You know, I realized she's from Colorado, and they had it, but she did a great job.
came and visited her grandparents in Denison, Iowa, when she was a kid. Her grandfather was Dr. Logan, the old eye doctor.
Oh.
Many
Yeah.
years ago.
I used
She
to
was,
go to Dr.
she was also
Logan.
very entertaining and a lot of good information. And it's how you, direct your own narrative of what you want people to know and correct all the mysteries out there. But it takes somebody that can do that. You can't kind of start it and then just nobody monitoring it, and then it gets carried away that people are talking. You have to, and certain comments have to just go unanswered and something, you know, so it would be a task.
Oh, it
It's,
is. Anything on Facebook's.
I know, and you know, yeah, I give a thumbs up and that's about it.
Yeah.
So, keep out of trouble that way. Hey, Seth.
Hi, good morning.
Welcome. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Good. So we have an abatement. The next item on our agenda is a tax abatement for Ben and Amy Mitchell at 1996 U Avenue in Dallas City, a new home. And so have you gotten all the information on that?
Yes, we went out and checked. They were just starting dirt work.
Okay. Is there currently a house there now or are they,
Yes, but they're building back.
back, right?
Yes.
So then the other house they'll get rid of or is it?
I think she told me they intended on tearing that one
Okay,
down.
all right. About how much money are they gonna invest in Crawford County on that?
750,000 was their estimate.
That's on the pamphlet here.
That's been
Your
about,
recommendation is that everything fits the tier.
yes, I would recommend approval on this. They're planning on starting construction this month, next month, and being complete by end of August next year.
And you kind of monitor the progress of how they're doing.
Yep, we'll value it as it sits as of January 1 for the 25 assessment year.
I move we approve the tax abatement for Ben and Amy Mitchell at 1996 Union Avenue, Dallas City.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Any more discussion? You want to call a motion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye, so that motion has been approved. So thank you very much.
Seth, I know at one time we kind of talked about, looking into some of these programs that we do like this. And do you still feel like we're on par, that this fits the needs of the intent of incentivizing people to build in Crawford County? You don't think anything needs tweaked, do you?
They're no longer a true 100%. Any application received after July 1st, they are going to have to pay the school portion of the property taxes.
Is it state
48%.
code?
Yes, it changed last year.
State.
Taken into effect, yeah.
Made
I
that?
don't remember what house file it was. 2000.
I just got my statement yesterday and that would be 48.6% for the school.
And
While we're on that, business wise, what are our options that we offer the industry building?
commercial, 3-year, 100% as well. That's changing where they have to have a minimum assessment agreement. Place.
What is that?
No,
Explain that to me a little bit.
like they have to agree that this is gonna be the minimum assessed value for so many years, like 3 years and I would hope that would start after the abatement's over and not during the abatement, because
What's
it
the
would
point?
make a
So
lot
they
of
can't
sense
come back
then.
and contest it and say, well, we want it to be lower because they
For at
agreed to
least
that.
a couple amount, or a few amount, set amount of years.
Well, here's my question. If we're gonna wanna be competitive, round up business, obviously this is some things I'm
I
working
know what you're
on.
working on.
Anyway, are there do we have other options or does the state code limit us on what I'll just throw this out there. What if we said, all right, we could give you a 1-year 100% or 100% if you go. But if you will agree to this minimum assessment for 10 years, just basically keeps you out of court for 10 years, you agree to a minimum assessment for 10 years, we could go 100%, 90%, 80%, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
For
tier,
a 10-year period. There you go. I mean, or we can even say we give you 2 year, or whatever. I mean, that minimum assessment will be a very big helper for assessing.
yeah.
What if you went 3 years at 100%? And then you started your graduation down to, in a 10-year period, but for that 10 years, you also got that minimum assessment, so it never gets below. I mean, just different options. Are those things available to us? That's what I'm getting.
I think you guys can decide how you want your tax abatement to be.
We can.
I believe so.
Okay.
Like the city of Denison just changed theirs from $75,000 max. So you build a $500,000 house, your abatements you get $75,000 off. But now they've switched that to a 10-year, 5-year at the 100, and then a sliding scale down for the last 5 years.
Would you recommend we entertain thinking about something a little more creative for more enticement? Or is it?
I don't know. I think the 5-year, 100%, 5-year sliding is maybe a little extreme.
Okay.
But you know, if you think about it, when you're getting minimal new growth, you've got to do something outside of the box.
But you don't want to give away the farm and all the horses in,
Well,
you know,
there won't be no damn farm, if nobody shows up to manage it
but for
either.
sure, no horses.
Yeah,
Just,
I mean, that's why I'm asking. I mean,
I get it.
obviously there'd be at least 5 minds putting some serious thought and research to
Correct.
this. And we know we got one amazingly critical thinker, so to your right, that being researched. But that's my point. I think that we need to probably start looking
Another,
to have a better bait on the hook, so to speak.
well, I can remember when the city of Denison, I can't think exactly when it was, but they had a really aggressive program. And there were some young folks that built a house, and as soon as that was over, they couldn't afford the taxes for what they were gonna be. They sold it, which is absolutely fine, and it's, the house is there, you know, that person picked up but it got people interested in
And build.
building a house. Exactly what the house said, that worked out that way, that, they built it primarily because they knew they would have this, real aggressive tax program for the first 5 years, and they got it built and put it on the market. And they moved to something smaller that,
Well, over the city of Manila's done.
yes, giving away
Giving away
lots,
lots.
giving away lots, and look at all those, new houses.
That's
I
what I
believe
think.
theirs is a 3-year tax abatement.
I think so.
But they also gave away the lot.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
so there was huge incentive to,
And it already had water and electric to the
Yeah,
lot,
yeah,
so I
a
mean,
lot of
there's
great
all
stuff
kinds of
going
stuff
on.
that's an advantage.
Seth, I would just encourage you, I mean, if you come across other assessors and say this has worked very well in our county, we've seen a lot of new
Yeah.
growth directly because of that, or you see something that needs to be addressed or maybe tweaked, that just keep an open mind and bring it to us.
okay. I know when I do talk to a lot of county, ask them about their abatements, a lot do not have them.
really,
I- In our district, when I talk to some of the people, yeah, they just,
How's their growth? That would be my next question.
If I give away, Manila give them away, the contractor, they.
Yes.
The lot-
lot, yeah, you just have to build within so long and.
that's been going on for quite a few
Yeah,
years
still
though.
got contractor, this they give it, give it away to the home. You know, the house.
But the revenue generated from the years after that because of the new development offsets giving.
City of Manila,
Yeah,
city of Manila, bro. They can't even fix the roads now.
The new addition generates new revenue that is more than what the lot's worth.
Everyone, no governments.
I believe they're then.
Especially over time.
Yes.
So then they become taxable, the lots.
Thank you, I appreciate you answering my question.
yes.
Isn't that what some of the new businesses look for and base their reason?
Oh, I guarantee it is, 'cause I'm
Guarantee it
talking
is.
to them, and then they do, they wanna know what we offer. That's the first question out of their mouth.
Thank you, Seth.
Well, not the
Thank you,
first,
Seth.
but one
That
of the
has been
first.
approved.
It's in the top 10 questions.
Our next item is Secure Shred Solutions LLC service agreement. That was in the packet.
I got all that's
So
getting.
it's a small increase.
Working with
Currently
me.
have an agreement?
That's
Okay.
that bin, that's the
Okay.
gray
All right.
bin.
Yep, and they come by,
All the departments put stuff in there.
Need a bigger water.
I think it's excellent. Would hate to see all of that going in the landfill,
Right.
so.
It's a great way
More than we
to,
can-
So do they come here physically and
once a
shred
month.
it?
Yep.
They have a
on site?
truck outside that they roll
Okay,
the
that's what I've
container
seen.
to,
Yep.
yeah.
And they-
So have we ever thought about involving the public on the days that they're here, or is that,
The banks do
The
that.
I
banks
know the
do
banks
that.
do
The
that.
banks do that, but I
No,
don't, I think the banks have their lot.
because they're on a route, they're going to other
So
businesses
they
and
can't
stuff.
sit here for
No.
2 hours.
A lot of
They're
people
here,
say
shred
that.
what you got,
No.
we're out of here.
On an occasion, we might have a department that's gonna have, maybe be able to fill that bin on their own. And we will let them know that we're gonna have some extra shred. They just have to have it like downstairs, so when that bin, is emptied, if they have more things to shred, then
I mean,
we
it's
do
vital
things
to
like
have
that,
shredding
but.
capabilities.
Absolutely.
It's vital.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
used to maintain a big shredder.
Okay.
It just,
So did we.
It's
it
still
was a
get a
pain.
lot of work to
It was
dispose
a
of.
pain, they're
Everybody's
expensive.
grandchild got an opportunity to shred in the basement for
Oh,
a dollar an
yes,
hour or
yes.
something, and you could hear.
Very nostalgic experience, yeah.
Do they ever give you options of like longer term
Can we
contracts?
read what that's gonna actually be? I didn't.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they raised ours $2, so
$42
$2 or whatever.
$42 and then a $4 surcharge.
46.50
40
is.
No, 46.
46 even. Okay.
that like
a fuel surcharge
or?
$4 is a
Make the motion
fuel
to
surcharge.
approve,
We have a
contract with
motion
Secure
on the
Shred
table.
Solutions.
Second?
All right, any further discussion on that agreement? Now I'll call vote, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. This Shred Solutions agreement has been approved. Alrighty, now we have a resolution 2024/31 to pay back interfund temporary operating loan.
Pick 'em,
Here comes.
pick 'em, pick 'em. I like to say.
Okay, and what is the amount on that, Terry? Un momento.
It is, $76,328.14.
Okay, and that's a temporary, just till they can get their grants. all-
This is the payback of the
Payback,
loan.
we were-
This,
So they
we
got their-
did the
they
loan
got their
in
grants,
the end of
okay.
June. This
This
is the
is-
payback.
This is recoupment.
This is what,
Repayment is the secret word right
Yeah.
there, so I'm sure no one.
It's
Payback.
between the fund, the general fund and the Hickams Family Planning Fund, which is 0040. So,
it's something we do every year.
Right.
Yep. All right, do we have a motion on that?
I'd make a motion to, establish this payback of the inter-fund temporary operating loan.
All right. Second. All right, any further discussion on that resolution? Now I'll call the vote. It's resolution. Aye.
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so we will, take that money back. Alrighty, thank you. We are down to citizen
Before
data.
you get into that, I have one question. Terry, did you get any response back from the mold?
Oh,
People?
no, not yet.
She said.
Thank you. I need to, well, Kyle had a name of the people.
Yeah, I don't
I can't
remember what he
remember who
had.
they were. And I don't know if he was getting a hold of them. I don't know.
I'm gonna guess he would get a hold of them. That seems like what Kyle.
Right, I think so too.
So
Yeah, I can't remember who he said either. I just
I
didn't
know.
know if you had heard anything back or if he.
I'll remind him, next week we'll want to report on that. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, anything else before we go into citizen input? We have no one on Zoom. Sherry, did you have something for citizens input today?
Taxes are coming in strong, good deal.
Thank you.
The trailers that we talked about last week, I approached the county attorneys. Martha's gonna look into it and see if there's any way to possibly collect in the future for those kind of things, but she wasn't real. Yeah, she wasn't,
Reassuring.
yeah, but she didn't really think she was gonna have much luck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I am working on those, and then I just wanted to tell you that, I mean, most of you know, I was at ISAC last week, I thought it was very beneficial, very good networking,
Yep.
took some good stuff away.
Yep.
IPERS was there, I see we're having IPERS come to the courthouse, I think that's a great thing. You're talking about the Medicare and all that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty much it.
We've had a big discussion about ISAC and the things that we brought back from it too. It was really some good discussions. A lot of counties, going through a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, it was very beneficial.
Yeah.
But you could go.
Say, Sherry, I was gonna ask you, but since you're here, where can a guy go to find out on driver's license or whatever the counties do? And the percentage that the state keeps of those dollars? I mean, I'm assuming if that is statewide, it's the same for every county as far as the percent that we get to keep and the percent that the state gets. Where can I go to get that information?
I think I can run you a report, I
That'd
can
be
look
fabulous.
into that.
And that would include the recorder's office, anything the auditor does, if, I don't know, I
How are
guess.
you tying the recorder and auditor into the driver's license?
Well, I'm
All
just
the
saying is
fees.
services that are done at the county level that the state takes
You
some
probably
money
have
out
to
of.
do that from each individual office.
Okay, that's what I thought,
Yes,
If we start with you.
but I can get that information that happens at the treasurer's office
from me,
from you.
from all three of the
Okay.
departments, I should be able to generate.
Okay,
That would be interesting to know how much we actually keep and how much.
There was discussion that the
We
state
get
keeps too
They,
much.
they do keep
Yeah,
doing it.
so until we know
Yeah.
exactly how that is, we can't.
That's why we approached some of the House files to have some charges. I mean, there haven't been charges put on or increased for renewing your plates, renewing your driver's license, all of those things for well over 20 years.
That's crazy.
Right.
So we're not
I
keeping.
mean, I was just talking to someone I know in the state government and just said, hey, what the state has free labor that they're using on the county level.
That's,
And, they shouldn't be doing that, or they need to raise the amount that they're paying.
And we just
Yeah.
found out this morning from another Zoom meeting that we had, that they're dropping more on us at the local levels. Now they want us to be monitoring odometer fraud more. So they're using us to do more of their work.
wow.
And we don't have the workforce nor the time for that.
No, and
How do
you,
you monitor odometer?
Just verifications, you know, we're already doing
they can bring in a
the,
picture.
we're already doing the bill of sale, you know, all that kind of stuff for how they pay. So we're trying to catch some of that fraud. There's fraud a lot on the titles.
But it makes you look like the bad guy and, you know, it's the state mandating and you've got all your expenses go up and they don't.
They don't, they
Yeah.
don't.
I mean, that's always my point, was
We
just
get
that the state goes against child labor laws and slave labor, and yet they're utilizing that exact same thing on the counties that they say that they're trying to
Do
help.
you have an idea ballpark figure of what the services you provide and what you actually keep and what goes? I mean,
I don't, but I can sure run that. One of the big issues is driver's license. You know, the treasurer's office is not required to run driver's license. That's a service that the county provides. And I feel like with our trucking industry and that kind of stuff, CDL, I think that's a very good service. But that's a huge hit on taxpayers because we lose a lot of money in that office.
Okay,
As far as what you have to pay a staff person to be out and do the testing and,
So
you
it's a
know,
lot more
And the
intense
training.
test than it is.
there's a huge emphasis on property taxes.
Well, that was exactly my point, Dave, is I said, you guys are trying to reduce property tax, and yet you're making us charge, you're taking money out of our coffers. If we'd like to keep that, maybe we could lower the property tax, because we're the only ones that
Naturally
do
in-house.
that actually, you know, control property tax, not the state, so let us just keep that, all that money, or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, let's have a discussion about that.
that's how, yeah, so that report. would help you
You're 100%, hit the
so
nail on the head of exactly where to
You
be.
guys are thinking alike and that scares me.
Thank
Sherry,
you, Sherry.
I got one quick question for you, Sherry. On tax statements, is brought up Webster County puts pie graph on and they said they use Beacon to do it. Instead of just having it written on the bottom, like, hey, this percentage goes to school. Is that an option we can do?
it is. And that was one of the things, I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of the things that they talked about at one of our meetings. And then I was gonna look into that and see if it was beneficial, but you heard good comments
Oh,
about
big
that.
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
They
One of
said,
the things I did move it this year,
Well, not necessarily.
well, not if you're on the school board or hospital
Yeah.
board or something that's overcharging, but.
one of the new things we did do this year with our tax statements is a summary sheet. And I'm getting really, really good feedback on that, because they've got 7 parcels or more, we're sending a summary sheet with their taxes, and it breaks it all down. So that's.
That'd be a good place to.
That pie chart
A little
is so.
pie chart maybe, I don't know,
I think.
cause I make one, I do one, there's a one on the website.
I think these other ones actually come out right on the front of their tax statement.
Oh, really?
That's what I thought Mark Campbell said. I mean, it was right there
It's right
and
there.
they used Beacon to do it, but I don't know how that works out.
You said that was Webster.
Yeah,
If nothing else, I'll reach out to Brenda, their treasurer, and see
Yeah,
what she does and.
this just happens to be a pie chart from public health, but it just jumps out and it's so obvious who, you know, where when you're reading it, it's at that bottom and, you know, a lot of people just skim it over, but it's
Visual help.
visual.
A lot of the people that actually do say something to us about taxing are the ones that probably don't dig into our
No.
website.
They don't.
So they don't see that stuff.
Right.
And so if we made that obvious it might reduce the calls that we get and the calls that the people that are actually creating the larger
Yeah.
tax issues will get more calls.
One of the supervisors said that they could take a picture of it and have it on their phone, so when people stop and talk to them about, hey, I pay so much in taxes and we don't take care of my road, well, look at who's getting, you know,
We just
that
replaced
kind
the
of
Facebook
calms
picture.
that subject down, that we're not getting the whole $6,500 paid for gravel roads. School's getting 48% of it.
I think it points people in the right direction
Yeah.
right off the bat. They
Yeah.
see a snapshot of it. Oh,
And I'm
I
not
know I
saying that
should go
that
talk
school,
to-
nobody's, that could be justified. However,
Absolutely, positively.
I can't tell you what the school board's using that money for, or the hospital.
right.
So call them. And they can tell you.
Anyway, those are some, we had, I think, a lot
I
of
mean, we're
great
not trying to make
conversations.
anybody into the bad guy.
No, but it just gives you an
Looks like we don't know what's
Accurate.
going on.
accurate snapshot of things on that.
I had a lot of conversation with treasurers who told me their taxes actually went down this year.
Really? We tried.
We'll keep trying. We're gonna keep trying.
We
So,
keep trying.
yeah. And there's a county that's worried
And
about
we
being
will say
going
this,
bankruptcy.
this
so-
floor, to the ladies on this floor, we thought you guys did a pretty darn good job, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I
Okay,
say that because, I mean, I'm just looking at the the recorder, treasurer and auditor's office. Your budgets were pretty tight right off the bat. For the most part, there was a little things that we, that, you know,
We can do what we can do. So,
yeah.
Lonnie, did you have anything today?
Yeah, just, talked to I talked to, the sheriff's office down there. And, Steinke was glad he got back to there about the 911 call I made. He did 4 months. She's going to talk to me. Best I thought is county attorney, I'm we call county attorney to represent the people. I'm talking about the case I had against Dell. He said he works for the sheriff's department, so. He was pretty bluntly about that. I see why a lot of people are still in jail innocent. Then I went, and a tornado goes through, Manila there, April 26th. And I've been talking to just Jody Holmes out of West Central. And, she just said, you know, wild goose chase. Contractor is 30 miles away from town. I got to come up here another 15. But the paperwork, she gets a copy of the paperwork. And there's 2 pages, and she takes her like 5 times to do it the right way, just either too close to the side of the paper or something. Then, or there was a check mark on one side, she wasn't like that one. So I had to go all the way down the contractor 30 miles away to find out what it was. Call him up. He wasn't to get a hold of him. I said, well, just cut it off. You can't, we can't do that. I said, why? Then this is running around all this crap. And, one was a check mark. She put the check mark on there before that. And she wanted to have a check mark. So why'd you put it on there for? Get out of it on. I mean, it's bullshit. After 3 months I went through this, every week. Had to try to figure out what I finally did. And I got about 2 months before that, I got a letter saying I was accepted for help. And then I just walked, I said, that's enough of this, girl. I said, hey, you know, I need to run around here. After 3.5 months of it. And then they sent me a letter that I wasn't.
You were, and then they said, well,
Yeah,
you weren't.
then I wasn't, because I didn't follow their paper. I said, just cut it off and then the garage, you had it attached to the garage. You didn't count it. The garage was attached to your house, they counted the damage. That was last got garage, the wall blown out and, lost siding on it. But it's just bullshit like that. The person gonna go through, that's just, they're broke. I called area 12 for help, and came out there, you know, December, and they had this rural help through Atlantic. They're 2 years guys, they're gonna wait list.
Oh, my goodness.
And we'll have to fix it out, we gotta wait till, we talk about this, 2 years, they're gonna wait till I fix my house. So then, see what this, Jody Holmes, what's this, you gotta wait, they'll wait for 3.5 months now. I don't know if you guys fund it or anything.
So let me ask, did your homeowner's insurance take care of any of it or,
Yeah, I got a $5,000 deductible.
oh, okay.
It wasn't really that much damage, $7,300, but it's just a bunch of bull.
Okay.
You know, I mean, how the government work, I just don't understand, like,
That's-
you got your own problem with the state, I understand.
Yeah.
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 Why? I remember back in Japan where we had a deficit with Japan and stuff, and that's how we got the 7% income tax. here back in 1982, whatever it was. Then it was started with a penny, then went all the way to 7 cents now.
Yep.
It's ridiculous, I don't, well, we're broke, we're broke. That's why you got wait list and area 12 and rural help and.
Well, they get their funding from this, and that has to go into these buckets, then these buckets, you know, and everybody's,
They're $35 trillion going up every year.
I know.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Day,
Yeah.
every minute.
At the end of the day,
It goes up
you're
more.
not getting the help, even though you were approved, and because there was a check mark, then they threw you back out.
Check marks, you want to wait, I said, try not.
I know they can't cut it off, they can't white it out, I know they
I think that
can't,
what you said is fraud.
that would be fraud.
I said, that's fraud for you, the government is. It's because it's that trade. Everything was fraud.
Yeah, well, we're trying not to do that here in Crawford County.
Just common sense, the contractor don't roll the phone, just turn it on. You know, she couldn't do that.
Willing to
But
learn if it
But the
generates
problem
revenue.
with that is, you know, they can't alter it, because if you didn't authorize it, and it's just best if it's done the right way. Yeah, I know,
It's like the garage wasn't attached, they would cover that. just-
Yeah. It's rigmarole, it's red
I'm
tape,
just telling you, my brother said right away, did not go off, I was doing, I just,
yeah,
yeah, I'll do it. That's what happened to area 12 here 15, 20 years ago.
I get it.
You gotta jump through the hoops there, I know, I said, that's not.
So at the end of the day, your property did not get repaired,
No, not yet.
not yet.
The contractor was ready to do it here a couple months ago, and I got back on his list.
Yeah. They want,
I should get him working on it by the end of the month here. But,
oh, good, well, it's rigmarole, there's no doubt, it's called red tape,
yeah,
and this all,
I mean,
yeah, we all go through.
everybody's gotta take a pay cut working for the government. I know Crawford, Shelby County only got 4 supervisors, you guys got 6.
They got 3,
Three supervisors?
they got 3 and we got 5,
She's an auditor.
yes,
But then they got an auditor, there's always 4 that sit.
yeah, right, they have 3 supervisors
How
and
come
the
we got
auditor.
5 then?
We have 5,
Where we've set up to,
State statute, you can either have 3 or 5, depending on the county.
Every
Counties
county that's
decide.
got 3 wants.
For
to
some
go to
reason, the
5.
voters of Crawford County decided back in the 1800s to have 5. We've had 5 ever since.
it works out great, you know, because you can have
That up to-
different, people taking
Well,
care
I've
of
just
different
never
areas.
seen not
and-
5.
yeah, there's been 5.
It's always been.
I think there's, that picture right there has 5, and it's pretty old. Same table, but it's pretty
And
old.
Shelby County always had 3.
Probably.
Shelby's,
I don't know, they could have only had 3, or they might have changed,
but it would
the
have to be.
voters of the county might have changed it from 5 to 3 at some point in time. But
I like 5.
the voters of the county decide how many they want.
If you look at all the stuff that we do, 5's a pretty good thing, and then it also, it's where we can discuss, if I have an issue with something that I'm dealing with and need somebody else's opinion on how to deal with it, that may have more experience in that area. Then when there's only 3, they can't talk to each other about business, unless they're at a board where the auditor's present. So they actually avoid talking to each other about personal things, just so that somebody doesn't say that, oh, they had a quorum.
Even all going to a wedding together.
Yeah.
You know,
Now they won't talk, we won't sit at the same table, even if they're friends.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy why 3 isn't a good number.
All right,
My property tax went up. We paid less than $100 here 15, maybe 20 years ago. Now it's over $700. I paid all these taxes, I'm like, taxation without representation.
Is that in the city of Manila, within
Yeah.
the city limits
Yeah.
of Manila?
I live in city limits.
Okay.
I went from a blacktop roof for like 40 years to a dirt roof pretty much. He went limestone on there, limestone, he said. Blum, he said, well, it works good in the alley. I said, people will go buy it here 50 mile an hour, or buy it in the alley in town 50 mile. I said, and then the 2025 right there, you gotta go in and slow them down. Raft is sending empty rafts, he's gonna say, well, I give him 10 mile, I give him 35. So you give him 30, you give him 10 over, then he get another 10 over, cause you won't do nothing about it. Then they're like-
now you're getting the city issues here versus county, so let's,
yep,
What's that?
you're at a county board of supervisors meeting, that's a city issue.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
not pertain, that's pertain to us, so.
The county, what do you, county's right, block away, county road 50 mile an hour.
That's different.
Yeah.
There's a line right there, and so
That's why,
that,
that's why I want speed bumps right there.
Yeah, well.
Why didn't you do that? That was going down.
everybody I see hot roads that they want speed bumps. It's just, they would have one every place in front of everybody's house, because everybody want one, so, yeah. But hope you get your, repairs done to your house and the,
Wow,
yeah,
for it, no.
if we could do anything to help, we would, so. Anything else in, citizens input? Otherwise, we'll call for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Favor, aye?
Aye.
Right. They say I could just.
Please sign this.
No.
Okay, don't.
You are so easy to get along with today. So unusual.
That is unusual.
But who are you talking about setting wages for the county that
Whose wages?
people work the county? You guys set their wages?
We have department heads that do that.
Each
Sorry to
department head
interrupt,
does
but-
that.
Each department, they're all.
Each department head does it. We just approve their overall budget.
You don't know where you live.
So Dave, next Tuesday, possibly, but we're gonna have a early